Hello and welcome to a three-part Blu-ray update video for, where the fuck are we? June 2020. So this will be kind of a three-part video of the Blu-rays that I picked up over the past 2 months, I think. So at the beginning of lockdown, I was very, not even selective. I didn't buy anything, actually. I was being really, wasn't sure what was going to happen with my job, what was going to happen with anything really. So I kind of stepped back, didn't really buy anything. And after about a month, I'd saved a lot of money and was also earning more with my second job. And then, you get that kind of, you're locked up and stuff and you're a little bit down. And then for me, I got very down. And then, it's all too easy just to click a button and order a few movies. And so it just kind of spiraled out of control. But I'm not, I still look at my finances now and it's kind of like, I'm still doing pretty well as far as the disposable income that you would normally spend on Blu-rays and things like that. And I've kind of reined myself in on a lot of things. Actually, there's been a lot of deals online and I've pulled myself back, but I've also found a few good deals and so on. And if you are unaware, I made a previous video going through a bit of toothache problems at the minute, so I might slur my words a little bit, and I might, be a bit quiet. I don't know. We'll see how this goes. But this is the first part of 3 parts. Part 2 will be a big return of the Eureka Masters of Cinema collection in my collection. There's a load of them that I picked up. And then the third part will be my venturing into the land of 4K. So stay tuned for that one. But this one is a mix of things. There are a number of criterions which actually take me to 100 spine numbers in my collection, which is really exciting in the Criterion collection. We have some artificial eye releases. There's a new Jackie Chan release. There's a steelbook of an Oscar-winning film. 2 films that were sent to me by a very good friend of mine, and a documentary box set. So let's get into it. And honestly, with all the stuff that I bought, I've barely watched any of it. One thing I can say about lockdown is that I've watched quite a few films, don't get me wrong, but it didn't feel like time off to me, lockdown. It didn't feel like, well, hey, I wasn't running around the house like Kevin when he first gets the house to himself in Home Alone. I was just more like, I don't know. I couldn't think of an example. I came up with a description from a movie and I couldn't pay it off with another one. There you go. I'll leave that in for free as usual. Yeah, I don't know. It was difficult for me. It really was. Again, I feel like such a twat saying that because all I had to do was just not go outside. It's pretty simple. But, I'm just saying that I feel like I would have watched more, but I didn't, including a lot of the stuff that I did actually ended up buying. But, these are things that I will get to, and I'm trying to get better at watching things and watching discs. So let's get into this. So 4 criterions to start with. These were the first 3 were on eBay for really cheap prices, like £8 each. The first one is Tootsie, Dustin Hoffman with a lot of glare. This side better? No, it's got to angle it so you can see the fucking thing. So I love this film. I reviewed it for the Epic Film Challenge 2 a few years ago with Connie. Really loved this film. Definitely wanted to have it in my physical collection, and of course the Criterion version in the UK coming out was a no-brainer. It's just not one I'm going to rush to see again, but for £8 or £9 I think this one was an absolute must. Just a brilliant film, and it has quite a few interesting special features on here. There's an audio commentary with the director Sidney Pollack, and new interview with Dustin Hoffman, and a 1982 making of Tootsie, and a 2007 retrospective documentary on the making of Tootsie. So it really covers like the kind of gamut of behind the scenes stuff. There's even screen test footage, wardrobe footage, deleted scenes, and a 4K digital restoration. This is a film about Dustin Hoffman's character who ends up pretending to be a woman to get this acting job. And it gets very complicated from there. And it's a very sweet story, and I don't know, and it's a really good comedy with heart to it, and I remember really loving this film. It was definitely one that I wanted to eventually own someday, and now I do. The next two I can rattle through very quickly because I don't really have anything to say about them. This one is Being There by Hal Ashby. This was another like £8 on eBay title. I've heard this is very good. It's a Peter Sellers, not Peter, well, it kind of is a Peter Sellers movie, but it's a film by Hal Ashby, and Peter Sellers stars in this one. Is it Peter Sellers, or am I thinking it's a completely different film? I can't see his name on the back. I can't see his name on the back. Where did I come up with? No, it is. Yes, it's on the front. On the front, on the top of the front of the first paragraph on the back cover. You really will have to bear with me through these videos as I get back into making videos while having toothache. Yeah, he plays the pure-hearted, childlike Chance, a gardener who is forced into the wilds of Washington, D.C. when his wealthy guardian dies. So I'm assuming this is going to be like a kind of... It's Peter Sellers. There's going to be some humor, but more of a kind of comedy drama. And the only other Hal Ashby film I've seen is Harold and Maude, which I absolutely love. And I'm now questioning whether or not Harold and Maude is a Hal Ashby film. And I need to check. It is a Hal Ashby film. Okay. I'll just put that there for now. So, I love Harold and Maude. Based on that, I'm excited to check this one out. And this one has quite a few special features. A lot of like TV show stuff, promo reels and things. So, alternate ending even. But yeah, this is one I'll just put on one day for whatever reason. And then this one, I don't even know if this is really going to appeal to me in the way that I feel like it did when I saw the cover. This is another £8. Leave that on in for free. Another £8 eBay pickup. And I feel like it's not a blind spot, but one of the eras of film that I'm really uneducated in, unfamiliar with, is a better way of putting it, I guess, is the 30s and 40s. This is a 1940s movie, and it is The Palm Beach Story. So this stars Claudette Colbert, who is in It Happened One Night, I believe, which I really, really like. I think that's, again, see, I need to like check these things again. This is the way I am sometimes. Yes, she was. I need to trust. I need to trust my own. Oh my god, I'm banging the microphone. Yes, she was. I need to trust my own instincts more. So anyway, I thought she was good in that movie. And it just looks like one of those kind of screwball comedies. And The Palm Beach Story, I like movies that are set on beaches or have beach settings. But I'm sure this is black and white, so it's not going to have that kind of look that I would normally associate. And it might not even take place at a beach. For all I know, The Palm Beach Story might be related to something else entirely. But we do have like a train on the front cover and a beach and kind of, the ocean. So yeah, and it's a Preston Sturges film, who I'm very unfamiliar with, but know the reputation of. So anyway, there we go. That's the Palm Beach Story. This is a 4K digital restoration. There's some interviews with a film historian and Bill Hader, which is interesting. I like Bill Hader. A propaganda short from World War II by Preston Sturges, and of course the radio adaptation. They like to throw those on there, which I think is really cool. Now the big one, the big Criterion set. This was definitely like seeing this on Amazon. Went down a little bit in price, but was still really expensive, and I'd always wanted it. And I just thought, God, this is a set that I've really wanted for a long time. It's a cardboard digipack set, so I'm always terrified of these things getting dinged up in transit. It isn't perfect. There's a few creases on it, but for the most part, it's in pretty good condition, and I'm really happy to have it in my collection. And it is the essential Jacques Demy. So, the reason I really wanted this, I've never seen a Jacques Demy film, but I am very familiar with and I'm a huge admirer of his wife, Agnès Varda. And I've seen, well, I say I'm unfamiliar with his films, or I haven't seen any of his films, but I have seen The Wonderful World of Jacques Demy, which Agnès Varda made. It's a documentary covering all of his films, basically. So I've seen lots of his films in that documentary, but I've not seen like a full movie. And this contains 6 of his films, and it's just a super, super nice set. Really cool layout, nice artwork, a nice thick booklet. I'm such a big fan of the aesthetics of this release. So let's actually go through the films in, I guess, reverse chronological order, and I can't pronounce French to save my life. So this is there like an English title on the back? No, there isn't. So this one is Une chambre en ville. Awful. This one should be easy. Donkey skin. This is the one I'm least looking forward to from seeing the footage. It just doesn't seem like my kind of film, to be honest. The one I'm probably the most excited about checking out is the young... No, not this one. No, it's the other one. This one is The Young Girls of Rochefort. This is the one I'm really looking forward to, The Umbrellas of Cherbourg. Because it is a musical that apparently every word of dialogue is sung, which I found to be a really interesting concept. Then we have Bay of Angels. And finally, I think this is his first film, Lola. And, you know, just nice design, you know, clean, simple. It all kind of follows the same aesthetic and everything. I'm just, yeah, really, really happy with the way this thing looks. And I'm just looking forward to diving into his films at some point. I don't know when that will be. But I don't know, it always feels nice to get one of these. Oh, it's actually on the inside. It's got all the same. That's nice. That's a nice extra detail. It's always nice to get one of these sets which is pricey and delicate, and to get it in really decent condition. It feels like a weight off my shoulders, which sounds ridiculous. Maybe fellow collectors can relate. And it's loaded with special features. It actually has the Agnès documentary, the World of Jacques Demy included. Another documentary from her as well. There are 4 short films by Jacques Demy from the 50s and 60s. Visual essay, interviews, making of documentaries, like TV episodes, archival audio interviews, all sorts of stuff going on here. And it seems like Agnès Varda was actually involved in some of the, you know, behind the scenes stuff of this, from what I can see in terms of special features and stuff, which is really cool. And it was definitely appropriate because this year Criterion are releasing the complete Agnès Varda collection, so it felt nice to have that one to go with the Agnès collection. It's nice. It would be nice to have those two, you know, dearly departed great French filmmakers who, you know, were a married couple and had very different careers. But I love her movies. I hope I love his. If I don't, that's okay. But I had to check them out for myself in the best possible way. And I was really surprised that this was released in the UK. I saw it in HMV a few months ago, or a few months before the lockdown. And I thought, holy shit, they released it in the UK. I was not, because this is like an old, it like came out like 2014, 2015 or something. But it was wrapped up in a spider tag. The ends were all dented and creased. I just thought, fuck's sake, you know. So I'm glad that I got a good, decent copy. Anyway, that's that. Moving on to some normal titles. I say normal because Criterion is the gold standard. And that does take me to 100 Spines. I might do a video showing you all of my Criterions to show you the 100 Spines that I have. It's more than... It must be 150 films in my collection because I have the Ingmar Bergman cinema set, the Zatoichi set, but they're both like... I don't even think the Bergman set has a spine number, so it doesn't even count. But, you know, spine number-wise, it's 100, I think, at the present count, so that's pretty cool. Anyway, this one still is riding off my love of the film The Favourite by Yorgos Lanthimos. This is one of his films from a few years ago called The Killing of a Sacred Deer. Don't know anything about it, but I'm fully committed to checking out all of his films, to be honest with you. And I've heard very mixed things about this. It was cheap on Amazon, so I decided to grab it, pick it up. Let me know if you've seen it, what you think of it. Next is one of the more recent Jackie Chan releases from 88 Films, and it's Heart of Dragon. I know Graham from Man v Film watched this and didn't get along with it too well, but I'm kind of, again, committed to kind of picking up all of these Jackie Chan releases from 88 Films. They're always enjoyable to me, so I'm just intrigued to check it out. Sammo Hung being in it is kind of even more of an appeal to me, but I think they've really nailed like the visual aesthetic of like the artwork now, the slip covers, and they just load these things up with the extras. It's not even funny. So this has the Hong Kong cuts from the original negatives, the extended cuts Japanese version also from the original 35mm negatives, all sorts of different soundtracks and different versions and all that kind of stuff. A almost hour-long making of special more behind the scenes, an archival interview of Jackie Chan, all sorts of interviews. So it's just a pretty stacked release for a film I don't know anything about, but it's Jackie Chan. I'm a huge fan. I'm all in. I'll definitely check that out and probably enjoy it quite a bit. Next is a documentary set that I paid full price for. This is not a cheap release. I signed up for the BFI player trial, watched the first hour of this, and I thought, you know what, I'm going to support this and buy the Blu-ray and watch it like that. I didn't want to add another streaming service to my already growing list of streaming services I pay for. So I thought I'd just buy this and watch it periodically when I feel like it. And it's Women Make Film. Connie recently saw this and went, Women Make Film? Is that supposed to be English? Like, she didn't understand like the phrasing of it, but you know, I kind of get it. It's a new road movie through cinema, a Mark Cousins documentary. You know, Mark Cousins of The Story of Film, an Odyssey, I think it's called, fame. You know, he's a very prolific documentarian and has made other films as well. And this is his most recent magnum opus, in which he focuses on female filmmakers from all sorts of different countries, backgrounds, and time periods. And I've watched a little bit of this, and it's really, really good. And it opens my eyes to things. It really fucking excites me about films, specifically films I've never heard of before, and filmmakers I've never heard of before. I was a little bit disappointed to read the full list of female filmmakers involved in this, covered in this. And one of my favorites, Naoko Ogigami, wasn't kind of a part of that. But he says in the beginning, this isn't meant to be a comprehensive list. It's just a list. It's not the best films of all time. It's just some films that have been neglected and not talked about as much and should be focused on more. The main thing about this that really sold me was that Mark Cousins doesn't narrate it. Yeah. I like Mark Cousins, and I just find his narration voice to be kind of frustrating and kind of it just doesn't roll well on the ears. I'll leave that in for FREE. It just doesn't, his voice when narrating, I know people like it, people are a fan of his voice. I know Mark Commode thinks it's brilliant, but just that kind of the phrasing where everything sounds like a question. It just really it messes with my head. And so when I saw that he had got a bunch of women from the film industry like Tilda Swinton, Jane Fonda, Tandy Newton to narrate this and be a part of this, I thought, okay. And you can definitely feel his voice through their voices, like the way that he's written it and stuff. It has all the markings of the Mark Cousins style of writing and speaking, but it's through not his voice, which I just found that more pleasing on the ear. So it's a 4-disc set. This is like a 14-hour documentary, something like that. A few special features, but it's really about the main. The whole thing is a special feature. So yeah, I was glad to pick this up, and I'll be chipping my way through it over the next few months probably. I don't like to watch too much of it because I get overwhelmed with it, like, oh, that I should watch that, and it just kind of, But I think it's great so far. The only thing is, it being on Blu-ray, most of the film footage is in really bad shape, and it's kind of like DVD quality stuff, which is kind of a shame. But I totally understand why that's the case, because a lot of it is films that haven't been given Blu-ray releases. These are films that have been buried or have been neglected or haven't been really mentioned and stuff. So anyway. This is a film I'd forgotten that I ordered, actually, but was very glad that I kept the order, because this actually turned out to be an ideal release for the film. It's the steelbook version of Parasite. So I just take this out of the protective sleeve, actually, so you can get a non-glary look at the steelbook. Really, really nice. You got both families there, and they're kind of going up the steps and down the steps, and on the back it's reversed. I even love the spine. I don't know if you can really see the styling of it, but it's very cool. And you actually get 2 versions of the film. You get the regular Blu-ray, and then you get the black and white version. Now, I read up about the black and white version of Parasite, and Bong Joon-ho said that he had made it, had put it together around the time of the regular edit of the film. So it wasn't something they kind of threw together because it won the Oscar. he'd already been thinking about doing it, and he has a very upfront and honest way of explaining why he decided to do a black and white version. He said that I think that some of my favorite films are like from the black and white era, and so it just looks more like a classic film. You know, it felt like there wasn't some deep intellectual reasoning for it. He just thought it would be cool because classics were in black and white, which I really appreciated, the kind of the blunt honesty of that, which we can usually expect from Bong Joon-ho. But also that this isn't just taking the film and just turning the color down. He went through shot by shot to color time it and everything to black and white. So that's kind of I'm not in a rush to watch it, but it's a very cool addition to I guess there's a second disc, a cool addition to the release of the film, I should say. So it's not a seamless branching thing. There is a separate disc for the black and white version. I love Parasite. It's great. It wasn't like amazing, the best thing I've ever seen, but I thought it was really, really great. Really enjoyed it. So entertaining and gripping, and I look forward to watching it again and again. I know Criterion are releasing it, but I like the Steelbook, and I'm not sure if the black and white cut will come to Criterion or not. So we'll see what happens with when the specs get released for the Criterion version. I'm happy to double dip in it, I think. So the next two, actually I'll leave these till the end. So we have two more artificial eye releases. The first one is a pretty new release, and it is from one of my favorite filmmakers, Hirokazu Koreeda, The Truth. This is his new film. I don't know if it came out in cinemas, really. Not too sure about that, but this stars like Juliette Binoche, Ethan Hawke. It's mostly in French, I think. So it's a really interesting departure from Koreeda's usual Japanese work. Very intrigued. This has got very middling reviews, which is a shame, but I'm still well up for checking it out. I haven't watched it yet, and if you've seen it, let me know what you think about it. I'm intrigued because I can't see a Koreeda film being bad, but maybe just the comparison to films like Shoplifters has made people look on this less favorably, perhaps. I don't know. But this is a completely bare bones release, unfortunately. But I just want to see the film, so I was more than happy to pick it up for full price. And I don't know why everything is so dusty here. I'm trying to like brush all of the dust off everything. So this is another artificial eye release. And this is actually one that as soon as I bought it, I watched it. I watched all the special features within, almost the first night. Finished it the next day. And this one has a lot of really good extra special features, which was surprising because nothing was announced. This film was like, hey, Artificial Eye are releasing this. There we go, June 8th or whatever it was. And I was like, are there any special features? Nothing. No press release. Nothing on Amazon. Nothing. Nothing. Okay, then I'll just buy it because I want the film. Film comes in. There's like audio commentary. There's all this stuff going on. So I don't know why they didn't tout this more. And the film is Portrait of a Lady on Fire. So if you've seen my top 20 films of 2019 video, you will know how much I love this film. If you follow me on Twitter, you'll know how much I love this film. And I was really, to give you kind of we're near the end now, to give you my experience with this film. I watched it on Mubi maybe 2 months ago, and I got an hour into the movie. I'm repeating myself if you've already seen that video, but for the sake of anyone who hasn't seen that video, I'd been wanting to watch it for a while. It was on Mubi, and I just kept putting it off, and I don't know when the right time is, because I knew that it was going to be a film I needed to give my full undivided attention to. So I waited for the right moment. It felt like it was the right moment. I put it on, watched it for an hour, and then I paused it, and I thought, I don't want to finish watching this. Not because it was bad, but because the first hour was potentially this is like half of one of the best films I've ever seen. And I would be heartbroken if the second hour just doesn't live up to the first. And I sat there for about 45 minutes just contemplating, do I want to finish this and ruin the dream? And I finished it, and the second hour was even better than the first. And to me, it is one of the best films I've ever seen. And it's really tricky for me to dive into that kind of hyperbole, because when you say to someone, especially in a public forum like this on YouTube, hey, this is one of the best films ever made, you're immediately setting it up for failure to someone who hasn't seen it, or to someone who doesn't agree with that opinion. But I have to kind of go all in on this because I've now watched it for a second time. I was even nervous about revisiting it for a second time because, hey, what if it isn't as good as I remember? What if, I'm not a sobbing wreck by the end of it again? And I wasn't, but that really held nothing negative towards the second viewing of the film. I watched it with Connie, and I was kind of intrigued to see what she would think of this film. And she felt a lot of pressure to enjoy this film, which is really interesting. I was like, no, it's fine. Just enjoy it however you want. It doesn't matter if you don't like it as much as I do. And watching it with her, I didn't feel as completely, free to give in to tears and so on. But we were kind of talking throughout the film at times as well, so it didn't have the intimate feeling of it. And the first time I watched it was like headphones. And I just heard every creak of the wood, every wash of the waves over the beach. This wasn't as intimate, but that was fine. I still think it's an incredible film. And there were moments in the second viewing of this on disc where like my body was like almost like in that kind of tremble where it's like it's just so gripping, and it's just like, it's so exciting, this film, and it's such a quiet film. The sound design, and I'll probably do a separate video on this really, because there's a lot I can say about it. But the special features, we have an audio commentary with the director, Celine Sciamma, the two lead actresses, and also the cinematographer. But the cinematographer is only in the commentary for like 2 minutes and has one comment, and that's it. And the two lead actresses, they don't really have many spots to talk. It's mainly a director's commentary. And it's obviously in French, and, well, not obviously, because you don't know it's a French film. It's a French film, so the commentary is in French with English subtitles. There's an interview with the woman, Helene Delmer, who did all of the paintings that you see in the film. And that's a really good interview. Just really succinct, gives you a lot of information. But then there is a paintings featurette. They call it a featurette. It's like an hour long, just watching all the footage, well, not all the footage, but a selection of the footage of the paintings being done in real time. Like the footage that they use snippets of in the film, you see extended in these kind of just almost ASMR segments. You could just hear the paint strokes across the canvas, and you just see the paintings form. And I just watched all of it. It was just fascinating to me. And also the trailer. So this is a phenomenal release. I did put the reddish case there myself. I felt like it was appropriate, but yeah, so that was Portrait of a Lady on Fire. Finally, there are two more to talk about. These were sent to me by one of my best friends, who will actually be appearing in one of my videos, hopefully at the end of the year. But he's a very old friend and a very good friend, and he decided to send me a couple of films to cheer me up, and it was really nice. This one I haven't seen, and I was really surprised to see like what the film was and where it came from, because this is an American like special edition release. But these are two. He was trying to find two films I hadn't seen before, and the first one is Deep Rising. So this is a Kino Studio Classics release. Nice slipcover, loads of special features. I was surprised that it was like an American release, and a nice kind of slipcovered Kino edition, no less. And this is like a 90s kind of, forgotten like horror movie, I think. Yeah, it's like horror action. You got like Anthony Held, you got Famke Janssen, just like an interesting kind of, you look at these people on the back of the Blu-ray and you're like, oh yeah, that guy. And apparently that's what a lot of the cast is made up of, from what my friend told me. Yeah, just like lots of people you've seen in other films and so on. And it's just like a cheesy kind of, I'm assuming by the cover, horror action 90s movie. And I'm all about cheesy 90s movies, so I'm looking forward to watching this at some point, and just kind of when I really need something just nice and fun to watch that I don't need to take seriously at all, that'll be going on. And finally, he sent me this, which is one of his favorite films of all time, Hardboiled. This is a John Woo film from 1992, I believe it came out. Early 90s, yes, 1992. This is a Spanish Blu-ray, and it is in fact... Okay, the disc is actually not in there. But it is, in fact, a bootleg release, unfortunately. But it looked pretty good to me. This film seems to be plagued with rights issues. There's no real good release of this anywhere on Blu-ray. Maybe in Asia somewhere. But it's one of those ones that just hasn't been given like a good restoration or anything like that. But The disc worked fine, it looked really good to me, and I've watched it twice already. This is an incredible film. I think one of the best action films I've ever seen. Loved everything about it. It's just so fun. It's kind of I wouldn't say cheesy, but like there's kind of this, I don't know, there's a vibe to it, like the jazz music. I don't know, it's just cool. And maybe cheesy is the right word, but the action set pieces, holy shit. It's like a Jackie Chan, it's like a classic 1980s Jackie Chan film if you just replace all the punching and kicking with gunshots and explosions. It's just stuff that you would never see done again today. Safety wise, the explosions, the guns firing off, like just the surroundings getting destroyed. I actually played the sequel to this, the Xbox 360 game Stranglehold, in which John Woo was involved and Chow Yun-fat came into play to Officer Tequila again. So I played the sequel story, but those games are just carnage. It's just like slow motion shooting, just the whole environments are getting shredded to pieces, and it is an accurate representation of what the actual movie is like. The whole like final hour at the hospital is insane. It's funny. I watched it again to show to Connie. She didn't quite get it as much as me, unfortunately, but I love this film. I will watch it again and again. There's also, so the lead actor who plays Officer Tequila, Chow Yun-fat, is joined by Tony Leung, I don't know how you pronounce his name, who I know from In the Mood for Love, and he was so cool as well. So those two together, I just loved the relationship that they had, that kind of formed, the lighting, the music, the cheesy music, the jazzy music, John Woo being the kind of like mentor figure. Loved this film. And that is the first part of my June 2020 Blu-ray update extravaganza. Stay tuned for part 2. Let me know if you've seen anything in the films I've talked about, and I'll see you next time.
He's alright by me. Apart from the fact he throws cans of Carlin into a tree. Yeah, he's really cool. Yeah, he's really cool. But he's not quite as cool as you, 'cause